She's willing to take out a whole floor of innocent bystanders just to kill the judges.
Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. I felt like I was watching that.
In this Remake or Break episode, we're pitting 1995's Judge Dredd against the 2012 remake Dredd. Both will be judged, but which one will be the law?
We're Frame Rate Studios, where we talk all things movies. I'm Corey, and first of all, let's address the elephant in the room, Chad.
Whoa, what?
Actually, I meant my thumb.
Oh.
You guys are probably wondering.
Oh.
I tried to cut it off just before we started, so.
Why you gotta be so mean, man? Come on, man. It's not like I've ever made fun of your baldness or... Never mind, we'll continue on now. I know you were and are a much bigger Stallone fan than me, so what did you think of the Stallone version, Judge Dredd?
I am the law!
Well, this... Okay, the editing is going to come in right here, okay? That's because I had a hard time trying to figure out how I'm going to open this up, because this movie missed everything.
Here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Supposedly, Stallone had his hand in it too much, and that's what I feel like there's still more to that comes through the directing itself, because I felt like a lot of it was like read straight off of the script.
Script? What script?
The effects only had one spot where I really felt like it was pretty good for what it was. I don't know if they're trying to get another Demolition Man or something that had a huge feel of it.
Oh my gosh, boy.
And
I'll give you what I found. The one thing I can find that was redeeming is that the special effects artists and the more the practical effects artists, they build out an actual world here, because it had to be practical effects. Yes, there was some stuff that was done on green screen, which is evident. Given your eye roll, obviously you noticed. And I wrote down, there's 3 examples of movies that were made in the same decade that are better and tell kind of the same idea of dystopian future story. Demolition Man, Total Recall, and Fifth Element.
how about you start us off on Dredd, and then when we're done with that, we'll go to the comparison.
Yeah, we'll compare the two, and more will come in. My thoughts on Dredd, I mean, I said it to you after we got done watching it. Dredd's hard to be critical of, because it's a pretty well done and very tight and very effective telling of a Judge Dredd or a Dredd story. It's simple, it's to the point, it's a good character study.
Hey, don't make me blush in front of the fellas.
We'll get more into the comparison, but like Judge Dredd, Stallone's version was all about just building the world, where this was about, these are real characters in a real world setting. Even though it's supposed to be in the future, it still felt real. Like it could be our future.
Yes, I will completely agree with that. It was more grounded.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, your motorcycles weren't flying. The effects were really good.
Right.
This one is a lot more brutal, a lot more gruesome.
Right.
And it works for it.
Yes. Both movies had their own production issues, but definitely Judge Dredd, Stallone's version, was a classic of its time in that it was all about Stallone, so they gave him way too much power. So he was constantly, like every day, and we've heard this about movies like, Bruce Willis with Die Hard and things like that.
You have to think before you speak.
He was constantly coming in and doing rewrites. The director, very much when you watch a featurette and you read some of it, he wanted it to be more like what Dredd was, what Karl Urban's version was. He wanted it dark, gritty, be more brutal, and basically Stallone, they allowed him to come in and constantly overrule it. So I'm not saying the director doesn't have some part to play because he kind of just rolled over and gave in, but if you've got an actor coming in and constantly doing rewrites, how do the other actors prepare?
I can't go with that because rewrites is common. That is a common place for it, and it happens constantly on the day of.
Yeah.
And it is given to the director, and it is the director's job to get that performance out of the people.
I guess for my feeling and looking at the source material, I know everybody lost their minds with Judge Dredd because he takes off the helmet and pretty much isn't wearing it for half of the movie. That was their biggest thing. But if you even watch a 16-minute YouTube video about what Dredd is, they had nothing. I mean, other than the wider world, they built the wider world correct, but the rest of it, none of it matches what it is. And you can tell that all Stallone cared about was the coolness of it.
It was just the performances of the people that was just weak. And
Gotcha.
and then also when you have this poor things you have to act against on the background, because as you said, the special effect. Watching them on the motorbikes that fly and that chase scene, I felt like, I don't know if you remember Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future from
Barely,
the 1980s.
but yeah,
you had this little gun you could hold and you could shoot.
Yep.
I felt like I was watching that, and I'm like, holy crap, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it, Mr. Rock'em Sock'em.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was that design of that robot looked just like, I mean, like straight Rock'em, at least the head of it. I mean, it's like a Rock'em Sock'em robot.
Now, the only applause I give towards the effects was Means. One of the 3 children of, what was the Angel Gang or something?
Oh yeah.
His makeup
was
phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you look back at that time. And again, you're looking at practical makeup effects that was put on there. It's not CGI. And then to take that, if we're doing the comparison, the effects in Dredd, man, for the gruesome, the blood and everything. Just real quickly, I think that's one of the other issues between the two of them is the villain, the level of the villain. Rico, his brother. I really didn't feel like, oh, you need to take care of him, get rid of him. Whereas in Dredd, Mama, yeah, you want her dead.
Exactly. That's the problem with Judge Dredd is that Rico is he's just yelling all the time. That's it.
Your council's experiment.
Please stop yelling!
Where, Lena Headey as Mama, it's because she's quiet, she's methodical, she's a psychopath. Because, she's willing to she owns this whole, 200-story building. She's willing to take out a whole floor of innocent bystanders just to kill the judges, just to try and kill the judges. She does not care, and she is not to be messed with.
That was rude.
Going back to, or sort of effects, but not. But I give a lot of credit to Dredd. They had a very specific visual style for each different type of scenario. So when the characters are on slow-mo, it goes into a very different look and visual style. When they're inside Anderson's head, the psychic, played by Olivia Thirlby, there's a little bit of a different look. Even outside of the building, when they're, on the way to Peachtree's, it's this dark world, but yet it's bright and sunny out. It's and there was that, but then once they're in Peachtree's, it's a whole different palette.
It's just dancing a little color here and there. And just sort of let your imagination take you wherever you want to be.
That's the big thing I would say between both of these. Judge Dredd, I was ready to be done with the world. I'd seen what I needed to see.
Okay, I've seen enough.
I have no want to experience these characters anymore. Whereas Dredd, very much, I'm like, I want to see more of this. I want to see more of these characters and what they can get into and expand out the story more. So
I would if they'll replace Karl Urban.
See, now that's where we disagree.
I thought that's what you were doing before.
I thought Urban did a fine job as Dredd. I guess, or maybe more I would say is, I don't know that anybody's going to look 100% right underneath that helmet, or it's going to.
I think part of it is he has a small head, and underneath that helmet, and then for him to try to walk around with the angry face, look more like a pouty face. And I'm like,
trust me.
You can't. You're not delivering. And for Stallone, he could, because he naturally has that.
We disagree on that. I mean, yes, he naturally has that face, but it came across as comedic.
We need your comments. We need your comments, please. You need to be the jury here.
Yes.
Who fit the role better? We're not talking, at least I'm not, that who gave the best performance or
Right.
how it is. Who fit the role? If they could have directed Stallone differently and the movie had been better, would he have fit the role better?
Well, that's a lot of pressure.
Before we wrap this up, because I feel like we're coming close to the end. You really will have to work on helping me understand this. So she brainjacks the one dude and goes through that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And then almost the very next minute, he takes her, gets her in the elevator and takes her up and captures her. And I'm like, dude, why can't you just brainjack him there?
That is one point. I probably need to jump my score down a little bit for it because, well, it's kind of convenient when she can and can't use her powers and how powerful they are. So a little inconsistent on that logic as far as how that worked.
So you agree?
Okay, well, since we opened up kind of with our final thoughts, what we thought of each movie, it's down to the score. And we both gave them some scores, so let the jury speak. For me, Judge Dredd, the 1994... 95, thank you, with Stallone, has a 38. Now, Judge Dredd from 2012, did I get that one right?
Yes,
you are
I got
correct.
that one 2012, right. Good job.
From 2012, that one has a 65.
So for Judge Dredd, with Stallone, I gave it a 36. So only 2 points worse than yours. Originally with Dredd, which this is why it's fun for us to do this. Originally with Dredd, I did give it an 83. After we're talking about some of those things at the end of some inconsistencies, I'm going to knock it down to a 75. But at the end of the day, yes, Judge Dredd, you have been judged guilty and sentenced to execution, or maybe just, in my opinion, why bother? Go watch Demolition Man instead. Much better movie and a lot more fun.
I knew they'd do that.